Welcome to the MS&Me Radio Network. The broadcast shows are for informational and entertainment purposes only. They are not designed to provide listeners with specific personal, medical, or counseling advice. Individuals with a medical issue should always consult their healthcare provider. MS&Me is not responsible for content of individual shows. The views expressed by show hosts or the guests are their own. Enjoy the show.
Hi, I want to welcome everyone to Live in Hope, Focus on Healing, part of the MS&Me Radio Network. My name is Kelly Alderton. I'm a wife, a mom, entrepreneur, a motivational speaker, and author. My book, Waking Up from MS, My Journey to Health, Healing, and Living Symptom-Free, details my almost 30-year journey. Actually, it's over 30 years now, my journey living with and beating MS. I'm so excited about my next guest today on the broadcast. I've interviewed her before, and she has been a great friend to me on this journey to beating MS, and I was so happy that we met, and I invited Debbie to come back because she has some great experiences and some great ideas and things that she has done and implemented in her own journey with MS to really make life a little bit more easy. And Debbie Hurd, welcome to the call.
Hi, Kelly. Thanks for inviting me back.
Well, Deb, I'm so excited for you to be on the call, and I'd like you to introduce yourself a little bit. Tell everybody, how long you've been dealing with MS, where you are at in your journey, and then I'd like to ask you some specific questions about the topic we're talking about today. And for the listeners out there, we're going to be talking today about the joy of less, really a way of living more minimalistic to de-stress your life, declutter your life, and ultimately help you on your own journey with MS. So, Deb, can you just tell us a little bit more about you and your journey with MS right now?
Sure. So I was diagnosed with MS at the age of 45. I'm now 52, so this is like my 7th year. From the beginning, you and I had mentioned, we talked about this early on, I had been, never took any of the drugs. I've kind of gone the natural route the whole time, kind of finding my own way, figuring it out, and to much success. I'm doing really well. I'm actually on Coimbra protocol now for 10 months, and I'm looking forward to being 100% symptom-free. I'm really looking forward to that. But, I'm doing well.
Awesome. And Deb, I've been right here with you on your journey, and I've just loved how you were so open to trying new things and learning as much as possible to really help you. And that's not just about dealing with your MS, they're dealing with stressors and ways to make your life a little bit easier. And you're the one that actually introduced me to this whole idea of minimalism and the joy of less. You actually, told me about that book by Francine J. And I've been looking at that. Of course, my life is still kind of chaotic and hectic, and I have stuff everywhere, but I'm working on it. But can you tell us about when you decided to start looking at the clutter in your life or having the things around that were, just stressing you out even more? Can you talk about that? How did you get on this path?
Okay, well, I'm from the Midwest, and when I was 30 years old, my husband and I, we built a house, a big house, 3,600 square foot, 5-bedroom home, with all the stuff and everything. And it's just interesting because today I call you from a 700 square foot apartment in Dallas, Texas. So this was a couple years in the making, but what came to pass, Kelly, was when we moved in our home again. I was 30. I was really into, I look at this time of year, the holidays coming up. We're all facing the decorating and all the stress that comes with the holidays. And I was the person who put up 2 Christmas trees and all the decorating, and it was a lot. But prior to having MS, I did it because everybody did it. And I didn't realize how many expectations were put on me and how much work, really, of the holidays, which would entail. And I did enjoy it. I did enjoy it. But after coming with the diagnosis of MS, at the age of 45, soon did I realize as the holidays approached, I couldn't do it. I could not do the elaborate decorating and, shopping and cooking and all the planning, all that would have took. I didn't have any of the energy. And as I have told many people who don't really understand things about MS, we only have so many units of energy. I guess all people do, Kelly, but I feel like with MS, we have less units, so to speak.
Sure.
Okay, we have less, and stress zaps those units of energy, if you want to say. So I think looking at what I had to come to the realization that I could not do all the things I once could do. So I stumbled upon this book, The Joy of Less, and it really kind of talked about living with things they're important to you and things you enjoy. So, for me, I was a homeschool mom, and we had a big garden in the backyard, and, one of our homeschool projects was gardening. And, well, once the kids grew up, I had these big planter boxes, and they almost look like graves. Right? These big 6x8. I had like 5 of them. I don't know if you remember seeing those in the backyard, but I never liked to garden. I only did that because it was like a homeschool thing to do. So, the one thing I learned from the book was that, okay, if you're a person who loves to garden and you love to plant things and it brings you peace and it's therapeutic, well then have at it. Go and garden and plant. I was not that person. I didn't like digging in the mud. I did it to do it with my children as a project. But once that was done, I didn't want to do that any longer. You know what I mean? So that was really an eye opener for me, was to start to identify what brings me joy, and what makes me feel better. Because again, having with MS, this is serious stuff, and stress is all around us. So we need to be able to stay in control of what we let into our lives.
Absolutely. And I like that thought. So you were looking at those planter boxes after the fact, when here your kids, are not really so much homeschooling anymore, and you're looking at these big planter boxes, and that was probably causing you a lot of stress and tension, and you knew that was not going to be serving you. And I like that you were actually aware of that, or that you could recognize that, because a lot of people will feel disdain or stress or aggravation about something, and they are unable to really identify it. So that was really the starting point for you. What did you do next? Because I know when you started looking around your house and at what you wanted in life, and then seeing how things were going to fit into your chronic fatigue and aches and pains and things like that, things that so many of our listeners are going through as well. What did you do next?
Okay, well, we live in a culture, organize. And I wanted to be in control of my life. So I thought initially that I was going to organize the stuff that I had. Okay, I was going to go, and this is a very typical scenario. Okay, I would go downstairs. We had a full basement, and I had all kinds of stuff down there. And I would say on a Saturday morning, I would get up and I'd say, okay, I'm going to go downstairs and I'm going to clean up this basement, and we're going to give stuff to Goodwill, and but I would get among all the stuff, and then I would my heart literally would start racing, because I would feel so overwhelmed. It was so much. So I would go upstairs and have a snack. And then I would turn the TV on, and then I would say, and then nothing would get done. And I'd be so angry with myself, and I'd feel so defeated. And so what I started, and again, the different things I learned through reading Francine Jay's book and other things online and stuff, was I was looking at life like as a whole, and not kind of like piecing things out. So what I did was, instead of like going down and looking at this big basement project, I said, like with my closet, and I started just kind of getting rid of clothes that I'm never going to fit into again, or I was hanging on for some crazy reason. But And that's the
Debbie,
thing I like
let's talk
sure.
about that, because I know there's a lot of people I know I'm at fault for this a lot. You know, I have streamlined my closet, so then you have those things, well, maybe I'll wear those again. Maybe that'll come back in style. But it's distressing when you walk in your closet and you just see all this stuff, especially the things you haven't worn in years and years and years. And let's face it, every house has a ton of closets now, so we're stuffing them in every nook and cranny. Again, more stress.
Okay, well here's one thing that you can do, like even today. If you go in your closet and how many times have you gone in your closet, you go to put something on and you don't like the way it fits. You know, it's too tight or it's not. Put it in the bag. Like if you don't like the way it looks today, I'm telling you, you're not going to like the way it looks 2 weeks from now or 2 months from now or probably 2 years from now. So, I mean, when you start to put things on and you're not happy with it, why do we go back and hang it up again? You know what I'm saying? So there's certain things you have, your favorites, you know, your favorite clothes where you know no matter what, you know, even if your hair looks that good, this shirt makes you feel good or whatever. But there's certain things, or maybe you spent, in your opinion, too much money on it. So you feel like, oh, I can't get rid of this because I spent full price on this. You have to let that go because it's not serving you. And it's crowding out the other stuff around the stuff you do want to wear. You know what I mean? So you have to start, you have to start thinking about it. If you put something on and you don't like it and you're trying to let it go. It's just okay. You're just going to put it in the bag and you're just going to, or, there's like little tips, like I've heard people will say, turn your hangers in a different direction, like for what you haven't worn in, 6 months or a year, like turn them in one direction, have your clothes facing, and you can start to realize the things you're not wearing by the way they're facing. Do you follow what I'm saying? Because sometimes you think, oh, I do wear that. Well, really, do you? Or put it in a different area, and then you'll realize probably 6 months from now, you don't even remember it being there, and then it's like, wow, I didn't even miss this.
Right.
So it's a more of an emotional attachment we have to possessions, and that's where it gets a little tricky because you have to start. Oh, I wore that to my daughter's graduation, and now I can't. Why? Why would we start to attach an emotion with the possession when it's just, as far as for clothing, it's just a piece of material. It doesn't hold any life to it. It's just a thing. It's kind of a mind thing.
So did you start with your closet, and then how did you branch out from there? What finally did it that said, I'm just going to go through this whole house? And I mean, you grabbed the book and you started reading. I know that about going
right.
Right. How did you branch out from that closet?
So here's the thing. When I started feeling more peaceful about the smaller projects, maybe it's a drawer, maybe it's a cabinet, and I keep looking in it and I feel good about myself, that made me want to do more. You know what I'm saying? But I think the problem I ran into before was I was looking at everything, again, in a big picture. So, one little area, and you don't move off that area until you really work that area, and then you go to another area. And really kind of reward yourself, not by buying yourself more stuff. That's not the rewarding part I'm talking about. But I mean, you can say, hey, you know what? I did a good job. And I can see that I'm more peaceful. I walk in my closet. Wow, here are the blouses that I like to wear. Like, I don't have all that extra stuff. So when you start to see that you feel better, it will motivate you to do more. And so I used to, in my old way of thinking, it's easier to get rid of people's other stuff, and I'd say to my husband, you don't need this, do you? A big mistake. Don't do that. Start with your own stuff because it's easier to get rid of other people's things because, again, there's no emotional attachment, So it's really about the emotional attachment, Kelly, because really the things for what they are, that's all it is. It's just, it shouldn't hold more meaning than it's worth and what it's doing for you. If it's a book, you read it. It should not be any, I guess probably the thing that probably, and I think we talked about this, is people have wanted to keep, like mementos of different things. Photographs are a tough one because you're like, I can't throw away a picture of what but now that we live in a digital world, we can put things in files in the cloud. We can put things on our computer, and we don't have to have, your son's, whatever award from Scouts or what. You can take a digital photograph of it, and you can look at that. And I'm going to tell you how many I know for myself, even videos of kids, I don't even watch. I wanted to make sure I videotaped every single piano recital. And I don't even look at that stuff. Now, maybe when I'm, 100 years old and a rocking chair, I'll want to look at it. But, it's just, it really becomes, when it starts to not serve you, this is the point, when it starts to become more of a stress, that's when you have to start saying, my health, my life is more important than this. And I always think about this. Think about the people who have lost things, in fires, and my heart goes out to people, that have lost things. When they say, like in the West, with the forest fires, if you, take everything you can, you have to leave in 30 minutes. And I think to myself, if I had a backpack or I had a cot, like what would I put in that cot? Like what would I take physically? And there's a Chinese proverb that says, be prepared to leave with what you can carry. And so when you think about that, if you literally could only take with you what you can carry, you start to get down to what is really, really important. And I think if we just just kind of maybe think about that kind of stuff for a while, it will start to open your mind up to realizing that a lot of stuff that we have really doesn't mean as much as we really think it does.
And, Debbie, we had talked about the fact that, having an illness like MS, many, many people suffer from chronic fatigue, aches and pains. But when you look around your house, and then have all these things, that just compounds to your stressors. And I get it. A lot of people will feel like they're too tired to do things or to change, or they don't want to get rid of stuff. They feel like they've lost enough already with, say, their health, right? Because now they have MS. But what happens when you start to free up that space, get rid of that clutter? I mean, there's scientific studies and evidence about when you declutter, when you have less garbage, and not even garbage, you know what I mean, when we have piles of papers or bills or, or just organization, what that does to your mind, right? It lowers productivity. It really stresses you out. We know that stress causes inflammation in the body. So when we start to talk about living with less or organizing, it's really going to help your not only mental health, but it's going to help your MS, no doubt, because you're just going to be able to deal with things better. We know when you're cluttered, then everything just starts to pile up. Wouldn't you agree, Deb?
Absolutely. And again, we have to start to think, having MS, and some family members I know are more sensitive to the illness than others, but we have to start looking at it like, no one is going to do this for you. No one's going to say, hey, take a break, sit down. Maybe you have some loving family members who do say that, but I have met a lot of people who don't. But I'm saying you have to make the decision to de-stress and to do what's important to you. And again, and you and I talked about this earlier, like, okay, let's look at the holidays. I do not cook. I do cook for the sake of it. I do need to eat. But I mean, I don't enjoy cooking or baking. That was just never me. And I remember making Christmas cookies because, again, I had children and it was the right mom thing to do. Prior to MS, no problem. I'd make the cookies and I would enjoy it, whatever, because the kids were laughing and whatever. But when I got MS, I almost became really bitter about, like, I felt really annoyed with doing things because I was so tired and taxed and I did not want to do things that I did not enjoy. So, yeah, when I was healthy prior to MS, I could do things that maybe I wasn't that crazy about, but it became more polarized, I guess. I guess you could say that when I was sick and I was trying to do things that didn't bring me joy, didn't make me feel good, I would do it begrudgingly. And what is that? Why do we do that to ourselves? Because it's meeting other people's expectations possibly. And again, this time of year, I think it's really important for you to really just make a list of what do holidays mean to you? Like just this, upcoming Thanksgiving, Christmas season, what really makes you happy? Because when you're happy, you're going to be happy. You know, other people are going to feel that around you, and your body is going to respond to that. And like you said, it's going to help with the inflammation. So, and it's, you know, and you have to be okay with saying no. No, you know, if you want to do that, that's fine. I don't want to do that. You know, no, I'm not going to be doing that this year. No, I'm not going to, you know, and I think it's freeing. Maybe it's uncomfortable, but better to do what makes you happy than to do something that you're not enjoying just because someone else thinks you should. And I think that's, you know, I think that's a way to begin to look at, you know, what's important to you.
Right. And so, Deb, let's talk about what are some things, if you could list out a few things right off the bat that people should do right now to start to have less stuff, and that will equate to having more joy, right? Because if this stuff is not, you know, holding us down or stressing us out, you know, what are some things that people can do right now? You told us a little bit about the closet. Would you go room by room? What would maybe be the top 5 things how they could start off and declutter equals de-stressing?
Okay, well, like I said, it works best if you start with your stuff. Okay. So you might not want to start, okay, let's take, for instance, like your family room. You have DVDs or whatever. I mean, some people still have, you know, DVD players, whatever. Don't start, you know, getting rid of, you know, other people's, you know, media stuff, you know, entertainment stuff. Of course, you're going to start with your own, okay, because, you know, it's only stuff that's going to impact you. So no, you're not stepping on any toes if you live with anybody else. That would be my number one thing. Let's take maybe the bathroom, maybe the bedroom's too much. Maybe you should start with the bathroom. Maybe you should start with your cosmetics. You know, do you really use, you know, the 20 tubes of lipstick that you have? Maybe you could get down to 2. You know, you know, maybe it's too overwhelming, a closet. Maybe it's a drawer. Maybe it's something very, very small, you know, and really just that little bit of progress, like I said, will make a big deal. Maybe it's your kitchen cabinet. Maybe it's, you know, maybe it's certain, I know you've talked about, you know, different foods and different things, and probably a lot of people have maybe made decisions as far as that. But maybe take food to a food pantry, you know, cans of stuff that you know you're not going to eat, and you're like, I'm not going to throw this away because I obviously paid for this. This is, you know, perfectly good food. So maybe it's a food pantry. Maybe it's Goodwill. Maybe it's, you know, whatever you think, you know, would make the most difference for you personally. And do it in, you know, very bite-sized pieces. Maybe it's not going to all happen in one day. Mm-hmm. That's another thing. It's the expectation of like, oh my gosh, I'm going to clean this today. Like I told you, when I go down in my basement, I'm going to do this today, and it's happening. And then I feel so defeated because I had these expectations that were way too unrealistic. So we need to do things, and some people, I've done this before, on your phone, maybe set a 5 minutes, you know, just 5 minutes. I'm going to do 5 minutes of organizing this drawer here in my desk. 5 minutes. When the 5 minutes is done, I'm done. That's it. And I'm just going to walk away, and tomorrow I'm going to do 5 more minutes.
You know, and then so that way, down into just bite-sized, right, incremental pieces. And also, guys, don't be afraid to ask for help. You know, just, you know, say, if one guy, ask a friend, ask a loved one, you know, hey, you want to help me for an hour? You know, just knock some things out. But what's going to happen in the process of you decluttering, organizing, giving things away? That feels good, too, to give some things away, right, to better some other people or help other people out. Like you said, the foods you're not eating, those cans, send them to a food pantry. You know, they have all kinds of different shops around that take in clothes and things, shelters, you know, there's a lot of things you can do. So it's really going to be good all the way around for you. And Debbie, I want to thank you. We just have a little bit more time on the call here. I want to thank you so much for bringing this topic to us about living with less, but also looking at the things that you're going to be doing, especially around these holidays. Are they serving you, right? If not, try to delegate it. Try to really stay true to yourself, because in the process of being true to yourself, you know, decluttering and organizing, it's going to mean less stress for you. And honestly, it's going to be something that takes a toll on you after time. So this is one step you can start to do to really help you here. Debbie, what can you do? Any final tips here as we close out the broadcast?
Yeah, I was just thinking too, as we're moving towards health and healing, maybe this is the year that there's one activity you don't do. So, just because this holiday season, maybe you're not going to help with some Christmas bazaar, but you can say to yourself, okay, next year, when I'm in a better position with MS and I'm living more symptom-free next year, everything is not final today. We're moving towards health, and you can put other things back in your life in time. It doesn't mean today, it's forever and ever. This is what we're doing, and we're never going to go back to things. So we have to think about, where are we at today? If we can't do things today, or we're looking to get healthy today, maybe next year there'll be different things you'll be doing. So kind of keep in mind that when you're letting go of stuff, as far as events and things like that, you can put those things back in your life. And the same thing with the clothes. Let's say you give away, 75% of your wardrobe, and then, a year from now you go, gee, I really wish I did have that one red pair of pants that I never wore, but I want to go out and buy another pair next year. It's not like this is all about making you feel better. So try not to look at it as a way of you're depriving yourself as we're moving towards healing. You can always bring stuff back into your life later if that is something that you just so desire. But give it a try. We're moving towards being healthy and happy and living symptom-free. So that's the goal. The stuff isn't the goal. The stuff is we're going to use to get out of our life to move us towards the health, the healing, and the less craziness and all the chaos around us.
Awesome. Debbie, thank you so much for this great information today. I know I got a lot out of it, and it's inspiring me. I better, as I'm looking around my desk, I'm going to go start organizing a little bit more. But I want to thank everybody for joining the broadcast today. Remember, you have a choice of how you're going to live your life with MS. Let's look at things we can do each and every day to make it a little bit easier for us. And remember, live in hope, focus on healing, and God bless.